against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever, Warren.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. We are your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution and code breaking news, culture, dramatic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. You know, in nature, there are these laws. The laws of nature can't be broken. And there's a law of nature that a lot of people don't know. They don't know about this law. It's a law that, you know, unless you're plugged in, you know, unless you're in the digital trenches, you're very well aware of this law. But if not, you're not aware of this law. But it is a law. It is a law of nature. It cannot be broken. And the law I'm talking about is the law of the inverse Kramer, right? So anything Jim Cramer says, the exact opposite tends to happen. So yesterday on CNBC, we played you guys a clip of Jim Cramer. I'm like half joking right now. I'm serious, and I'm also not serious. Because it's just hysterical. So he went on CNBC yesterday. He said, you can't kill this thing. He was talking positively about Bitcoin. He brought up Charlie Munger, et cetera, et cetera. And then as a joke, I'm like, all right, guys, pack it up. You know, it's over. It's done. Because every single time Jim Cramer says something positive about anything, literally like a day after or the week after, just things blow up. And that's exactly what happened. Ladies and gentlemen, last night, the price of Bitcoin fell from 45,300. We had a wick down to 40K. It's recovered quite a bit ever since then. But I think, you know, and I'm joking here, but I think Elizabeth Warren is a little bit spooked. I think Janet Yellen, and they called in the heavy guns, the heavy artillery, and they called in Jim Cramer. No, but I'm just kidding. What actually happened was this publication that is owned by Jihan Wu released an article basically saying why the spot Bitcoin ETF was going to get rejected, essentially. FUD. It was FUD. But it did spook the market. It did cause the price of Bitcoin to crash. We have all the receipts for you guys, so we're going to go through the whole odyssey of what happened in the last 24 hours. But, you know, it's a continuation of the trend, because remember what started this run-up? Because we were straight chilling 25, 30K. We were there for a minute. We were there for a while. And this Cointelegraph, you know, tweet came out, that poor intern, maybe he's still there. And the price of Bitcoin started pumping. That's when we got the 35, the 37, the 40. And it really started this run up, you know, because we were at 30K not too many months ago. And I see it again. I see the pattern, which is unconfirmed media moving the price of Bitcoin a lot. You're talking about 10% move, right? People got absolutely wrecked. So my question to you guys is, how much of this is sinister? Like, how much of this is on purpose? Like, because I'll tell you what, like, if you're an insider and you know what's going to happen when you drop this article, you're going to make a fortune, right? So I don't know what's going on. Like, there's some things going on in the background. But I'll tell you this, guys, if you listen to our advice, which is stay humble, stack sats, don't use leverage, and what the legendary Vikingo says, shout out 305 till I die, stay humble, stack sats, stay solvent. All of this is just entertainment. You're just looking on the sidelines. You're like, sweet. And honestly, guys, maybe this is selfish. I would love for Bitcoin to go back down to 35K, 30K, cheaper Bitcoin. That's great. I hope it takes a little bit longer. Maybe that's selfish of me saying that, but that's how I feel. In other news, I broke my computer last night, which actually, it sucks. I literally dropped this glass water because Opti and Sophie were convincing me Nico, don't drink out of plastic. So I threw the Essentia out, and I literally dropped a full water bottle on on my laptop, and it just shattered. Thank God I have Sophie's laptop. I have a company laptop as well that I could continue my work on. So maybe the production's going to be a little bit different today. But regardless, it's going to be a hell of a show. I'm really excited. There is literally never one day in Bitcoin that is boring. There is always something happening, and that's a good thing because it gives us something to talk about. And, they don't really call it the Bitcoin roller coaster for no reason. Opti, holy cow, bro. I wish I was there to scoop up that sweet, cheap Bitcoin, that 40K Bitcoin. But this is crazy, bro. This is crazy.
Yeah, we need some more insider information so we can short Bitcoin. So we can do the unholy act of shorting Bitcoin like Gian. Anyways, before I go on though, Nico,
Did you just say you're going to short Bitcoin?
No, I don't.
Opti is no longer with Simply Bitcoin anymore. I'm going to be doing the show by myself
I
today.
said we need some insider information.
Dude, you and the Cantilionaires, bro. Like,
Wait.
it's Chrissy, it's Yellen, it's Augustine Carson.
A scammer. Come on, at least I'm honest about it.
And now you're talking about manipulating the Bitcoin market. Okay.
Hey, if they're doing it, why can't we get in on the action? What the hell, man? Anyways, Nico, everyone's freaking out because your blonde tip's on the wrong side. So switch your mirror on your camera settings.
I got you guys. Boop. Nico's back. All right, here we go. Sorry about that.
Guys, it's January 3rd. Happy birthday to Bitcoin. It's a great day. Let's go. 15 years running, TikTok next block, and so on the culture. I seem to be liking lists for the beginning of this year, and I thought about it this morning, and I'm going to do 15 lessons that we've known and learned in the past 15 years of Bitcoin. So we'll get a good little ranting, some monologue. Again, the goal here is to try to distill as much information as possible for everyone out there, new and old. Remember why we do what we do, and also get new people up on board. Nico, we're hearing that.
Yeah, sorry. There we go. Making sure that Rumble is up and going.
All right. Well, hey, shouts out to the water bottle for messing with us this morning. But anyways, Nico.
Yeah. But before we do it, I do want to give a shout out to our Twitter audience, 71 people watching live, our Rumble audience. We got 44 people watching live. So we appreciate you guys from alternative video platforms. And of course, our YouTube audience as well. We love you guys. Thank you guys so much for making this show possible. We really, really appreciate and love you guys. Guys, we are having a bit of an issue, a technical issue on Restream. So we're not seeing the YouTube comments. We're only seeing the Twitter comments right now. But we'll try, Opti, if you could pull up like a YouTube like kind of like side screen, and we can just do it the old fashioned way. I think that would be cool. Anyways, guys, no more delay. Let's jump straight into it. We have a lot to talk about today. Let's check it out. Here we go.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, guys, I do want to give a heads up on Stamp Seed. Everyone loves their products, so they're literally sold out, but you can, or they're going to be close to being sold out. So you do want to get your titanium seed phrase storage kit while supplies last. You can use promo code SIMPLY. Apparently a lot of people are thinking the right things, man. They're thinking about properly securing their generational wealth. Opti's showing off the special edition Simply Bitcoin Stamp Seed plate. Opti, could you turn it around so people could see the the front of it. So that's where you stamp your seed, right? You have this hammer that was shown in the commercial that we just played for you guys, and you can stamp your seed. It's not going anywhere. It's titanium. And again, promo code simply, you get a huge discount. So the Clark Moody dashboard is going to be different today because I am on Sophie's computer. When I've been referencing Sophie as of lately, I keep calling her my girlfriend. I apologize. We've been together for a very long time, but she's now my wife. So I'm using my wife's computer. That sounds really weird to say. Anyways, but in a good way.
Sorry, Sophie.
Change is good. Change is good. Sophie knows that. Sophie knows I love her. Anyways, the price of Bitcoin at the time of recording is $42,800. Take advantage of this FUD discount. Sats per dollar, 2,337. Sats per dollar. Market capitalization, $838 billion with the B. Decline from all-time high. I love this metric. Maybe we add it to when Nico gets back his laptop. And we're down 38% from all-time high. Days since all-time high, 783 days. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 6.15%. Supply of Bitcoin in corporate treasuries, 8.7%. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,948 Bitcoin. And the block height, which continues to go up. It's going up forever, Laura. Both the price and the block height. 824,192. So, yeah, it's great numbers. Guys, so we talk a lot about the concept of breaking the Bitcoin echo chamber. What is the echo chamber? The echo chamber is this concept that Bitcoin content creators and Bitcoiners, we make content for other Bitcoiners, right? How do we break that echo chamber? Well, the way that we break that echo chamber is obviously continuing to make content, you guys sharing Bitcoin content, you guys doing the guerrilla marketing on the ground, spreading Satoshi's gospel, telling your friends, telling your family. But in my experience, it's my 8th year. It's crazy to say that. 8th year, 2024. In my experience, you can show people the door, but some people are just not quite ready, right? I always remember the Matrix movie with Neo and Morpheus, and basically showing him, the red pill, the blue pill. And it's like, some people would just rather take the blue pill. They want to use money that steals from them. That's cool. But anyways, so how do we break this echo chamber? We break this echo chamber by mainstream content creators and podcasters making content in relation to Bitcoin. Sometimes it doesn't even relate to Bitcoin, but it points to Bitcoin. This is Valuetainment. We've brought them up on the channel before. They've done incredible interviews. They've had Michael Saylor on. I'm a big fan of his content. I remember when he started, 5.17 million subscribers. So absolutely massive channel, huge following. Dude, Kobe Bryant's last great interview. Holy cow. This guy knows what he's doing. And someone went on his show, and this was retweeted from the Libertarian Party. I just got to say something, and perhaps this is a little bit controversial. I don't think you could be a libertarian without Bitcoin. I think you need Bitcoin. I think as long as Opti's saying, oof. Rustin, if you're listening, that comment's for you, buddy. And I know that you agree with me. Check out the Simply Originals. Rustin's dropping hot fire. But okay, so the reason I say that is because as long as the state controls the money, I just think that you can't be a libertarian, because you have to use money. It's not like you can walk around with a gold bar or anything. Like, now that Bitcoin's a thing, you could use Bitcoin, but not all vendors are going to accept Bitcoin at the moment. Lightning isn't ready. Right now, Bitcoin is primarily a store of value. It hasn't moved to a medium of exchange yet. I know that it will in the future, but it's not quite there yet. So this was someone that went on the Valuetainment podcast and dropping hot fire. And here's a fellow Bitcoiner.
That's Dave Smith, bro. Comic Dave Smith.
Thanks, Opti. Opti understands the cultural references, and that's why I love Opti. So Dave Smith is saying the quiet part out loud. This is what we mean by breaking the Bitcoin echo chamber. We need more of this. So I'm going to play you guys the video, and then we'll talk about it.
What we need today.
And
It's coming through. It was coming through.
Yeah, but it is. Hold on. Let me make sure so then it doesn't echo. Let's try that one more time.
In the United States, more than anything, is the separation of money and the state, the separation of banking and the state. This is the cause of so many of our problems right now, is that the currency is controlled by the government. This allows us to spend way beyond our means to pull things off that we could never pull off if the government wasn't just printing money out of thin air. The entire idea that we're going to go around and occupy foreign countries for 20 years in the Middle East with nothing to show for it. Try doing that if you had to actually tax the people. Try gaining popular support for that if every month people had to pay for the war in Afghanistan. That thing would have been over by Christmas of 2001. And the same thing with the lockdowns. I mean, try maintaining the lockdowns if you couldn't just print up trillions of dollars in 2020. There's no way it could have been done. The Federal Reserve and the money printing is the lifeblood of the Leviathan. That's what we need to attack. And what we need today.
I mean, I don't think we could have said it. I don't think we could have said it better ourselves, Opti. Like, to be honest with you, bro. Like, it is fueling the Leviathan. It is fueling the administrative state. It is fueling the military-industrial complex. It is fueling all this spending. When they're saying they're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, we can't afford that. Like the U.S. spends trillions of dollars. I'm not exaggerating. Every single year, more than it collects in tax revenue. How are they able to do that? Deficit spending, the printing of money. The great Ron Paul said it best. It is not a coincidence that the bloodiest century in human history, which is the 20th century, was the century of central banking, right? So, if we want to fix things, right? This is why I get really upset with all these political movements on the left and on the right. You're seeing changes. Like, you see RFK Jr., you see Ron DeSantis, you see Vivek Ramaswamy, Javier Milei, of course, the Chad, Nayib Bukele, who really gets it. So you're starting to see a change and shift, right? And the Overton window is moving towards central banking is bad. You're seeing that in real time. But you know what happens if these political parties start to, like, these giant movements, because the conservative movement in the U.S. is very strong. The liberal movement in the U.S. is very strong. They have very popular shows and personalities and this stuff. If they really want to effectuate change, right? Like, they complain a lot. Like, Tucker Carlson, like, he does an incredible job and he identifies the problems and he's like, this is what's broken. This is what's broken. He just said it, right? Valuetainment, what's his name? Dave Smith, goes on the show. He correctly identifies the problem. But how Beautyon pointed it out, just because you've identified the problem, if you don't provide a solution, you're literally screaming in the middle of a forest, in the middle of nowhere. So it's not just identifying this creature from Jekyll Island and saying the creature is effing real. You have to take a step above. And that falls down to you, the individual. Take agency, take action, educate the people around you, and make them understand. If you have liberal friends, if you have conservative friends, if you have libertarian friends, right? Whatever their ideology, it's like, dude, your problems are not caused because the other party is in power. That's how they distract you. Your economic woes are caused because there's a bureaucratic elite that have the privilege of being able to create money for free that everyone else has to work for. If you fix that problem, I truly believe you fix the money, you fix the world. It's not going to make all the problems disappear, but I would say it's going to fix more than 50 to 60% of the world's problems that we're enduring today. They're just going to go away. Of course, you're going to have cultural differences. You're going to have, it's not a utopia. It's not going to make things perfect, but it's going to make things a whole lot better than they are right now. And I think I saw Max Kaiser say this the other day. For the first time in human history, this is a very strong statement, the poor, the lower and middle classes have the ability to save in a money that won't be debased and can't be confiscated from easily. That is an effing game changer. That is going to fundamentally change how society is organized in such a way that you can't even comprehend. And you want to know why Elizabeth Warren is so petrified? You want to know why they're so hell-bent on going after self-custody? So they come up with these like BS like terms like unhosted wallet and blah and blah, blah, blah. It's because it terrifies them that the common Joe, the average everyday person, is going to be able to save in a money that cannot be confiscated at the flick of a switch. It puts the fear of God into bureaucrats and politicians that abuse the power of money, the privilege that the government had to issue money. They abused it to benefit themselves. Bitcoiners would have told you this was obvious because it's human nature. But they abused that privilege. And they no longer deserve that privilege. They've proven that for over 100 years. And you can go back in time. You can go back to the Roman Republic and Roman Empire. You can make a very strong case that part of the reason that the Roman Empire collapsed the way it did was the debasement of the currency, right? So we're living through some crazy times, historic times. This has never happened in the history of humanity where the average everyday individual can save without the fear of debasement or confiscation. Let's keep on the pressure. Let's keep breaking that echo chamber. Let's keep shifting, I'm going to curse, that motherfucking Overton window, right? So that people understand that the evil that is coming out of this world is coming out of fiat money and central banking. It has hurt humanity, has made humans kill each other, has brought out the worst of the human race. It's time to try something new. It's time to try Bitcoin. And I have a feeling, guys, and then I'll stop my rambling, that we are going to see a renaissance of which we have never seen before. We are going to see the Great Awakening, and you're going to see, whether you lean left ideologically or you lean right ideologically, you're going to see that you have a lot in common with everybody. And the divider was always the money. It was always the money. So you fix the money, you fix the world. My rant is over. I got excited. My computer broke, so I had to come in. I had to come in with the hot fire. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, like you were saying, you know, if you are a libertarian or anarcho-capitalist or whatever your favorite descriptor word is, if you do not see that the problem is the fact that the government is holding the money, then I would also add that you are a LARP. The separation of money from state is the quintessential problem going on in the world right now. And so I find it absolutely hilarious that we see so many libertarians out there that actively fight Bitcoin when it's like, guys, fix the money, fix the world. Like, it starts with the money. And I think people are so ingrained with the idea that only government should be allowed the opportunity, or rather the power, to issue paper money, and that the money comes from the government's basically decree, aka fiat money, that it's literally become the status quo. That debt, IOUs, that paper money from the government is the only viable route for money. And it absolutely blows my mind. You know, as Nico was saying, this is the last experiment in money until Bitcoin. You know, it's been a 100-year experiment. Like, people still fundamentally have the misunderstanding that paper money isn't the status quo. It hasn't been the status quo for the majority of human history. It's only the most recent experiment of money until Bitcoin. And here we are. It's, you know, the 15th birthday of Bitcoin. And we're starting to see that more and more people are waking up to the idea. And, you know, shouts out to Dave Smith, you know, Comic Dave Smith on Twitter. He's literally been on Joe Rogan. I'm pretty sure I clipped him I think it was December of last year, and we were speculating whether Dave Smith was becoming a Bitcoiner. And I saw on Twitter that apparently Guy Swan met him at, I don't know, like some libertarian meetup or something, and he finally orange pilled him. So shouts out to Guy Swan, because it is about breaking the Overton window, breaking our echo chamber, and spreading the Bitcoin signal to more people than just the, talking to Bitcoiners. Like, what's the point of only talking to Bitcoiners? What's the point of only talking to people that believe exactly what you believe? Yes, there's a part of being a part of a group, but our goal here is to spread Bitcoin to every person on planet Earth, because everyone is in the same issue. We are all feeling the pain of inflating, or rather debasing, paper currencies, and we're all in the same boat. And this isn't one of those things where it's like, oh, Bitcoiners were here early and we're just trying to profit on this. Like, no, personally, I don't see any other solution than literally going on the Bitcoin standard, as we say, fix the money, fix the world. Like, it's not the silver bullet to solve the world's problem, but it's the starting point. As we've seen in the last 100 years, as Nico mentions all the time, it is no coincidence that the last 100 years, or rather this century, is the bloodiest century basically ever, because it's been backed by the money printer. And we're seeing how clown world is accelerating right now, and how politicians are printing obscene amount of money. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but US debt just passed $34 trillion yesterday. Like, there is no possible way we are going to be able to pay off that debt. They will say whatever they want. They will try to kick the can down the road for as long as humanly possible. But we know it's 11th grade math, guys. They have to continue to print money to keep the system going. They have to keep the velocity of money going by printing money, and that is all making us all poorer. So you have to hold something that they cannot debase. We've seen throughout the history of man that when empires fail, they constantly debase their currency. It's happened multiple times in human history, and here we are. We're in that position right now, and it's so awesome to see other content creators, independent content creators that basically say what we say every single day, start to realize the solution to the problem. I say it all the time. It's pretty obvious to anyone that is paying attention what the problem is. It's just so few people are talking about the solution. And now we have more and more people talking about the solution and getting these ideas in front of just the average everyday person. Because I fundamentally believe, podcasts like Joe Rogan, like PBD, I think it is, Valuetainment, and all of the other independent content creators, like, their goal is to provide value to their audience. And if they're not giving them a viable solution to the main problem in the world right now, is the fact that your currencies are being debased, like, they're doing their audience a disservice. So I just love to see that this message is spreading further and further. And shouts out to Guy Swan for orange pilling Dave Smith. If that is true, then, doing Satoshi's work out there. And that's the goal,
work, bro.
Just spreading this signal to more and more people.
I do also want to give a shout out to one of the sponsors for Simply Originals, but we did take a little bit of a break during the winter, so I do want to give them an extra special shout out on the live show. And of course, I'm talking about the Bitcoin way. You could take charge of your financial future, your Bitcoin, your rules, unlock your Bitcoin's full potential without traditional constraints. Empower your choices with our expertise in self-custody, where privacy and security are uncompromised. So if you guys have any questions, doubts, or concerns about self-custody, these guys are the place to go. Inheritance planning, they have a concierge service. They'll help you set up your wallet, your node, anything you want. You guys got to check out the Bitcoin Way. The URL is super easy. You got to go to thebitcoinway.com. And the team over there will literally handhold you to your onboard, to onboard Bitcoin experience in your journey. So shout out Vendetta V4 Bitcoin. Shout out to you, brother. And it's time for the news, Opti. Let's do this. Here we go.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. so you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. All right, guys. So we're going to talk about a law of nature today. And I'm talking about the law of the inverse Kramer. No, but first, we're gonna go through the events, the series of events that happened for the price of Bitcoin to go through through the roller coaster ride that it went through, really. So first, we're gonna start off with, like I said, the law of Kramer, right? So I said, well, it was nice while it lasted. We played you guys this clip yesterday, and it was Jim Cramer on CNBC say you can't kill Bitcoin. Right? The price of Bitcoin was at 45,675 when it was recorded. The current price of Bitcoin right now is 42,744, but there was a wick all the way down to 40,000. But yeah. And then I jokingly said this morning, and I said, the law of inverse Jim Cramer is never broken. It is a fact of life. So, of course, this is a coincidence. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't think it's personally. I'm saying it jokingly. I don't think it's a coincidence personally.
It's so over for us.
I think dude, it just never fails, bro. It never fails. Okay. So anyways, in all seriousness, price of Bitcoin fell from 45,700 fell down to 41,500, and now it's having a slight recover. But what caused this? So here's Bitcoin News, a great news aggregator, and it was this article. It was this article by a publication called Matrix Port. So let's take a look at what it says. So it says Matrix on Target has been bullish against consensus expectations in 2023 and predicted early in the year that Bitcoin could reach 45,000 by Christmas. We even expected that if all the SEC requirements for Bitcoin spot ETFs were fulfilled, Bitcoin could rally towards 50,000 by the end of January 2024. While we have seen frequent meetings between the ETF applicants and staff from the SEC, which resulted in the applicants refiling their applications, we believe all applications fall short of a critical requirement that must be met before the SEC approves. This might be fulfilled by Q2 2024, but we expect the SEC to reject all proposals in January. So if you want to know why this dropped, there you go. It was FUD. But again, guys, shame on, what is the saying? Shame on, fool me once, shame on you.
Fool me twice, can't fool me again.
Correct. So we've seen this before. We saw Cointelegraph tweet out something. It pumped the price of Bitcoin. You see another publication tweet out something. It dumped the price of Bitcoin. The people that knew about this, they made a killing with that insider information. They made a lot of money off of this. But I mean, it gets worse. You uncover this, there's more to the story. So it goes on to say, the current 5-person voting commissioner's leadership critical for the ETF approval of the SEC is dominated by Democrats. SEC Chair Gensler is not embracing crypto in the US, and it might even be a very long shot to expect that he would vote to approve Bitcoin spot ETFs. An ETF would certainly enable crypto overall to take off, and based on Gensler's comments in December 2023, he still sees the industry in need of more stringent compliance. From a political perspective, there is no reason to approve a Bitcoin spot ETF that would legitimize Bitcoin as an alternative store of value. We've been making those cases for you guys on Simply, by the way. And like we take an apolitical stance on Simply, like always, but they did correctly point out that the opposition has been coming mostly from the Democratic Party. Like the bipartisan bill that Elizabeth Warren, is trying to pass through the Senate that would essentially effectively ban self-custody in the United States. It would effectively ban Bitcoin mining. It would effectively ban peer-to-peer. It's bipartisan, but really there's like 2 or 3 Republicans and the rest are Democrats.
Hey, Preston, how you doing?
So,
How you doing?
Doing well.
sorry about that. Producing Swan Signal in the background. So okay.
Correct.
So going back to the topic, this is this, they're not lying, but at the same time, I think there's so much pressure. There's so much anticipation. I mean, they're paying for, like, these organizations are paying for like $1 million ads at this point. We're going to show you a new ad that they dropped celebrating Bitcoin's birthday. Like Wall Street is paying for an ad that's celebrating Bitcoin's birthday. By the way, happy birthday, Bitcoin turned 15. The teenage years are rough. So it goes on to say, since traders started betting on an ETF approval in September 2023, at least 14 billion of extra fiat on leverage has been deployed into crypto, into Bitcoin. Some of these flows might be associated with easier macro conditions as the Fed has turned dovish. However, of those 14 billion of additional longs, 10 billion might be related to the ETF approval expectation. If there is any denial by the SEC, we could see cascading liquidations as we expect most of the 5.1 billion in additional perpetual long Bitcoin futures to be unwound, right? So it's just a FUD article basically saying why the SEC will reject Bitcoin spot ETFs. Again, it's not a question mark. It's like a matter of fact. But there's something more interesting to the story, right? There's more interesting to the story, and then we'll get the reaction. And here's our boy Hodlnaut, the space cat. And he says a short story in 3 images, right? So take a look at the dates of the article, right? Bitcoin spot ETF approval imminent, Bitcoin to jump to 50,000, and why the SEC will reject Bitcoin spot ETFs again. From
Just
the same
A/B testing headlines.
Correct. They were it's A/B testing headlines, and I think they might have pressed the wrong button. Or look who's the co-founder and chairman of Matrix Port, Jihan Wu, quote unquote, F your mother. He was the founder of Bitmain, one of the largest ASIC manufacturers in the world, and he played a pivotal role in the fork wars, right? He was mining Bitcoin at a loss so that people would think that the Bitcoin Cash hash rate had a higher organic hash rate than the Bitcoin hash rate, which means that technically there was a moment in time, it was all artificial, that you could have made the case that the Bitcoin Cash, network was more computationally secure than Bitcoin. We know after the fact, after the fork wars, that those 1 or 2 or 3 times that the Bitcoin Cash hash rate surpassed the Bitcoin hash rate, it was artificial. It was literally Jihan setting money on fire, right? So he was a big proponent of Bitcoin Cash. He was a big proponent of big blocks, right? You could have made the case that he was an enemy of Bitcoin. You could make the case that he's still an enemy of Bitcoin. I mean, these articles are awfully suspicious. How much money did Jihan make? I don't know. All right, now let's get to the other aspects of it. Let's get to the truth, right? So this was a rumor after all. The rumor caused this massive price movement. Of course, that's already known. But what actually happened? Right. So, a lot of awesome, legacy reporters did a great job trying to get to the bottom of this. And there was some truth that has been revealed. So first, shout out to Bitcoin Archive, another great Twitter news aggregator, a Bitcoin news aggregator. And it goes on to say, I spoke to Bloomberg's ETF and analyst Jay Seth. Let me pull up his full name, James, at length, and together with his senior colleague Eric, they give a 90% chance of approval due to a number of factors, especially. And by the way, these gentlemen are not just, like plebs on the internet or just random people on the internet. He works at Bloomberg, and Eric is a senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg. So literally this guy dedicates his life to covering ETFs. Okay. So I'm pretty sure they know what they're talking about. It goes on to say, my interview with James is really worth listening to because we cover this from the outset, and James lays it out quite clearly. It's worth noting that James and Eric called Grayscale's victory in advance and have been accurate all the way along so far. And I'm sure they have been because they dedicate their lives to covering ETFs, right? Specifically Eric. So here are a couple key points. Grayscale's legal victory. So it goes on to say, Grayscale winning its court case against the SEC has significantly shifted the landscape. This court decision has been a major catalyst in increasing the likelihood of the ETF approval. Second, the SEC's increased engagement with issuers. The SEC's proactive discussions and meetings with ETF issuers suggest a more collaborative and open approach towards resolving outstanding issues and concerns related to ETFs. Addressing the SEC's concerns, I would add into that the necessity of Barry stepping away from the CEO, being a CEO and chairman of Grayscale. And I would also put into that pot SBF and Binance. The fact that the US government literally took control of Binance, I think addresses a lot of those concerns in terms of manipulation, in terms of skirting US sanctions, even though I don't agree with that whole policy and whatever, but that's another discussion. Yeah, I do agree with that third statement. It goes on to say market evolution and maturity. The Bitcoin market has significantly evolved and matured over the years. The better infrastructure, increased institutional participation, and more robust regulatory frameworks, improved market surveillance and compliance, and increased institutional interest. I really think that this is the driving factor, to be honest, ladies and gentlemen. When BlackRock says they're interested in something, doors open, things happen. Here is also Eleanor, and Eleanor is a journalist and producer. She works for Fox Business. And she tweeted this out earlier this morning after the FUD article. Goes on to say the SEC is holding meetings today with the exchanges NASDAQ, the CBOE, and the New York Stock Exchange to finalize comments on the 19BFS submitted by the Bitcoin spot ETF issuers. So it definitely looks like there's things happening on in the background, but this wouldn't be Simply Bitcoin without a meme. And here's our boy Nick Can't Mind. And this is just so amazing, right? The CoinGraft intern, the Matrix Port intern, and they're just dueling it out. But yeah, I mean, this is just crazy that there's these non-vetted basically financial publications and whatnot that are just by a mere tweet, the price of Bitcoin dumps like 10, 15, 20%. And of course, okay, you give them the benefit of the doubt, it's an intern. But is it really an intern? Is it really an intern? Is it truly an intern? I don't know. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts on all this, brother?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I find it kind of ironic that they would do this article. Nico, the background noise. Because, literally the very reason that the article was basically saying that the SEC is not going to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF is for the main reason I keep hearing is, protecting the consumer, and the market is so young and it's illiquid, and, we got to protect the consumer from price manipulation. And this is this is happening in real time. They drop an article, the price goes down. They're probably shorting this. We know the playbook. We've been seeing this for so long. You FUD Bitcoin, you short it, you profit. literally like the main reason the SEC uses to delay a spot Bitcoin ETF is because crypto at large is rife with price manipulation. And so, I think there was some signal in that Matrix Port article in the summary where, like, of course, Jian Wu doesn't want a spot Bitcoin ETF to be approved when he is probably still completely bag holding Bcash. And once Bitcoin gets out of the door, once a spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved, like, all the other cryptos are going to get completely obliterated, in my opinion. And the amount of liquidity that's going to get injected into Bitcoin before a quote unquote spot crypto ETF ever gets out the door, like, it's going to very obviously show that there is Bitcoin and then there is everything else. And it really reminds me of what Tone Base said on one of the IRLs you did with him, Nico, where he was saying that Gensler's a maxi and he's trying to hold the floodgates back from institutional liquidity going into shitcoins. And so that's why he's slow rolling a spot Bitcoin ETF. And if you reread that summary, or rather re-listen to that summary report, to me, it just sounds like Jiwan Wu is trying to FUD a spot Bitcoin ETF so that he can try to paint a crypto spot ETF in the same light. And, if you connect those two dots of what Tone Base was saying and kind of what, if you read between the lines in that Matrix report summary, it's like, wow, there may be some real signal to that idea that Gensler is trying to kind of do his best so that a spot shitcoin ETF doesn't get approved on his watch, because he's not going to be able to justify why you can't approve a shitcoin ETF when a Bitcoin ETF gets approved. And just the amount of, I don't know, man, like noise and fires that he will have to put out to stop a shitcoin ETF on his watch, it could get very, very interesting in the worst way possible for the shitcoin markets out there. And of course, as Bitcoiners, we're like, look, of course we're free market maxis, but hey, there are institutions in America and they're supposed to do their job. And the Howey test is pretty clear. All shitcoins are securities. So I think it's kind of funny and ironic that this is the case. We're still so young in this market, and I hate using the like we are early meme, guys, but like Bitcoin's still a baby. It's only 15 years old. It's not even at $1 trillion market cap. And we're still seeing that a small concerted effort by a few people can literally manipulate the price of the market for better or worse. It is what it is. Like, that's where we are right now. Until more people understand why they're holding Bitcoin, until the market cap of Bitcoin is bigger than just, I forget what the numbers are, corporations. I think it's like the top 20th, in market cap compared to corporations, or 16 or something like that. Like, Bitcoin's still a baby, guys. And right now, you're still seeing that you're still so early in this game. And this is why people get pushed away from Bitcoin in the first place, because the crypto market is rife with scams. Like, we can all agree that I think there's a statistic that said, like, in 2017, the ICO bubble, like 78% of all the shitcoins out there were known scams. And people are still like, no, there's Bitcoin and there's crypto and we're all in this together. It's like, no, dog, like, Bitcoin is obviously different. And once more people wake up to the idea that Bitcoin is different, like, it's going to be night and day clear that there is Bitcoin and there's shitcoins, but we're still in this early moment. Like, we still have to shed off the bad taste of FTX. We still have to shed off the bad taste of all the ICO scams. And, Bitcoin has done a lot of work in this bear market. And I think moving forward, we're going to see that there is Bitcoin and there is shitcoins. And, all this conflating that we're seeing from legacy shitcoiners isn't going to change the fact that you guys had created securities. And again, not before Nihilist Fields in the chat calls me a status. Hey, there are rules here, and you're not changing anything by just creating some, printing your own money. It's like, guys, it's very clear that these shitcoins are securities. You're printing money out of thin air, and no amount of lobbying in Washington by Brian Armstrong and Coinbase is going to change the fact that you guys are marketing securities on your platforms. There is Bitcoin and there is shitcoin. So I just find it very ironic and hilarious that this is where we are right now, where, Cointelegraph or Matrix Report can write an article, the intern can write an article and the price dumps. It's like, oh man, I can't wait till we can put this behind us and we just laugh about it.
Dude, it's just interesting. It's interesting to say the least. Anyways, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Kabam. relax. I got my voice back. Look at that. I held that for a while. You can scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you directly to the Kaboom Racks marketplace. They're the most trusted place to buy, sell, and host mining equipment. If you want to buy mining equipment, you can check out their inventory on their Telegram marketplace. You can do that by checking the QR code, scanning the QR code on your screen, or you can check the link in the video description, and you can connect with a member of their sales team. They make purchasing their products easy and transparent. You could also sell mining equipment with them, access their vast network of domestic and international customers when you sell your mining equipment with Kaboom Racks. What are you waiting for? Start your mining utopia today, and there's no better place to do that with than Kaboom Racks. All right, everybody, let's hit the culture. We have a lot to talk about. Let's check it out.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today.
All right, boys and girls, happy birthday to Bitcoin, 15 years strong. I should have had like a kazoo here, you know, some fireworks and stuff. Anyways, as I told you, I thought this morning, you know, my goal here is to try to distill as much wisdom as possible to get everyone on the same page. Of course, we're all on a different journey. We've all been in Bitcoin for different amount of times. So I try to distill as much wisdom as possible in the culture. And, you know, here we go. I'm going to start off with a classic, Bitcoin classic. Some might say this is a meme. You know, the times here, Saturday, January 3rd, 2009. We have Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks. And if you guys are knowing, actually, maybe I should have brought it up here. I'll get you the Genesis block so you guys can see what we are talking about. It is inscribed in the very first block of Bitcoin. Here we go. Let me get this one up for you. Oops, wrong one. It's not linking. You can see that is inscribed here, right here. Chancellor on the brink of second bailout, the first block for Bitcoin, January 3rd, 2009. So Bitcoin, 15 years strong, guys. We're still so early in this. I know I hate using that meme, but it's still so early. Like, I think Bitcoin is superior to all other monies. Obviously, fiat can be debased. Gold, you know, shouts out to the hard money advocates, the gold bugs out there, but Bitcoin's going to replace the hard money. It's the newest kid on the block. The only thing gold has on Bitcoin is the fact that it's been around longer, but Bitcoin is the superior way, in my opinion, to store money through time and space. And it's only a matter of time until everyone wakes up to this truth. So on that note, I'm using Blank Slate IO over here. Sorry for the white. I don't know how to change the color, so if someone knows how to, let me know. I wrote down this morning and was thinking about it while I was in my slumber last night. What can I provide for you guys today on the 15th birthday of Bitcoin? Well, I thought of 15 lessons, 15 things we've learned in the past 15 years to help you learn and get on board and protect yourself so that you do not get wrecked, because it's very easy to wreck yourself in the Bitcoin space. It's rife with scams. There's, as I like to think of it, it's like remember that one game on the computer back in the day? If you're like my age, Minecraft, you know, you're just checking for mines everywhere. It's like walking a minefield in the Bitcoin space until you get to the center of the Tootsie Pop, which is Bitcoin and Bitcoin only, and spreading that Bitcoin signal. Anyways, 15 lessons on Bitcoin's 15th birthday. First one is obviously there is no political solution. The only way to fix this is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system that is permissionless, censorship resistant, that you opt into, that you voluntarily opt into, and no amount of state violence can force us to use any more money, because we have a solution now. It is Bitcoin. There is a ledger that they cannot tamper with, that you can opt into and protect yourself. And this is what this is all about, guys. This is why this was inscribed in the Genesis block, because we know that the banks will continue to bail themselves out. They will continue to steal from the little guy. And now we don't have to take that abuse. You do not have to take the abuse of debasing your currency. As we showed you in the numbers, the only way to fix our problems is to separate money from state. The next one is obviously, guys, hodl, don't trade. As we saw yesterday, the markets are very volatile. SEC might be right on that point. The market is volatile, but it's not necessarily that Bitcoin is volatile, because it's still one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. It is fiat that is volatile, and Bitcoin is just reacting to that. So don't get caught on the sidelines. Don't get over leverage. Just hodl your Bitcoin. Don't trade, because you might get wrecked like on a move we just saw yesterday. The next one is obviously exchanges are not wallets. So many examples of this, from Mt. Gox to FTX to everything in between. We've had numerous examples of this. Do not keep your Bitcoin on exchanges for long-term storage. And I would say, again, going back to the second point, don't trade. The only reason you'd keep Bitcoin on an exchange is if you're trading. So don't trade. Take your Bitcoin into cold storage. And again, don't complicate your cold storage, guys. Keep it simple, stupid. We've seen so many examples of people overcomplicating their cold storage, and then they lock themselves out of Bitcoin. Yes, we're all afraid of someone coming to our house and robbing us because we don't have the backing of state violence to stop a criminal from trying to steal our Bitcoin. But there has been probably way more examples of people losing their Bitcoin. So, hey, if you're not the most advanced computer guy, a seed with a password is probably the best setup. But hey, if you want to go into multi-sig, highly encourage it. The next one is everyone's a scammer, guys. Go read the Nakamoto Institute article by Bitscene. Everyone's is a scammer. Make sure you're playing the music as well to get the whole vibe. As we've shown on today's show, the shitcoin scammers out there are trying to get your Bitcoin. The institutions are coming. They're trying to get your Bitcoin. But again, guys, everyone's a scammer. We all want Bitcoin. So just acknowledge that greed is good, and everyone is coming after your Bitcoin. So again, protect your Bitcoin, take it off an exchange, hodl, don't trade. And then the next one, guys, there is no new Bitcoin. As we saw, 2017 ICO boom. Everyone and their mother was creating the next new hotter Bitcoin with new bells and whistles, and the only thing that will last is Bitcoin. There is no new Bitcoin. There is Bitcoin, and then there is shitcoin. It's literally been said in the halls of Congress. There's Bitcoin and there's shitcoin. It's going down in history, guys. There is Bitcoin, and then there's everything else that's trying to steal your Bitcoin. The next one is miners do not control Bitcoin. I'm super glad we brought up Jiwon Wu on today's show, because if you aren't not aware of what the 2017 Fork Wars was about, I would highly recommend you read it. But again, miners do not control Bitcoin. The next one, businesses do not control Bitcoin. We saw the same thing, Fork Wars. Miners and some Bitcoin businesses colluded to fork the network. Well, we've learned in time that miners do not control Bitcoin. Businesses do not control Bitcoin. It is you, the user, that controls Bitcoin. The economic activity of Bitcoin is what is the Bitcoin network. It's what predestines what's going on in Bitcoin. It's people like you that are using Bitcoin to transact. And the only way you really know is the next one. Run a node, guys. You need to run a node. That is how you show that you are on Bitcoin, that you are using Bitcoin for economic activity. You need to run a node, guys. Maybe you, Uncle Jim, your friends and family. I am not diluted into thinking that everyone will run a node, but we need more nodes on the network. We need to ensure that the Bitcoin network stays decentralized. Make sure you're verifying your transactions. And that's the next one. Don't trust, verify. Verify your transactions. This is why you want to run a node. And furthermore, as we keep covering on the show, mainstream media keeps lying. They keep flooding Bitcoin. Well, let's try not to spread all the fake news as well. I know sometimes we do it for entertainment value, but don't trust, verify it, whether that's in transactions, whether that's in the media that's being portrayed, whether that's in the FUD. Educate yourself, know why you hodl, and the hodling becomes easier. The next one, Bitcoin flows to the strongest hands. We've seen this constantly, and we saw it yesterday. The Bitcoin price gets volatile. People get scared. They dump their Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin flows to the strongest hands. Make sure you have, as the meme goes, the diamond hands. Hodl that Bitcoin. Hold on. What's the other one? Hold on for dear life, or whatever the meme was. Bitcoin flows to the hardest hands, guys. You want to ensure that you are a hard-handed hodler of last resort. This is the way. And the next one, stay humble, stack sats, stay solvent. This is a compilation of Matt Odell's meme of stay humble, stack sats, and our boy Vikingo, stay solvent. this is, I think, one of the strongest memes recently. Of course, guys, do not get too excited in the bull run. Even in the bear run, don't get into debt to stack more sats if you don't have a way of paying it off. Don't get over leveraged in the bull run when it gets super frothy. Stay humble, stack sats, make sure you are constantly buying Bitcoin. And the last one, stay solvent, guys. Make sure you have cash flow coming in because you do not want to dump your Bitcoin before you get to the fabled hyper Bitcoinization. And then, of course, infinity divided by 21 million. I really love this meme. All the world's wealth, in my opinion, will eventually be divided by the 21 million hard cap of Bitcoin. So if you don't think you're early to Bitcoin at what, $600 billion market cap, like, again, educate yourself. There's, I think the meme is like $900 trillion of assets in the world. That's all the wealth in the world right now. That will also increase. Well, all that has to get divided by 21 million. Of course, all that liquidity is not going into Bitcoin completely, but any of that liquidity going into Bitcoin, a fraction of that is going to ensure that the Bitcoin price goes nuclear gradually, then suddenly, and we are starting to enter the suddenly stage, and I'm sure we're going to see another suddenly cycle 2024 to 2025 and beyond. And the last one, I say it all the time when I do the numbers, my favorite number is the block height. TikTok next block. Bitcoin never dies. As we're seeing, there'll be more and more obituaries in regards to Bitcoin dying. You know, people see the price go to a new all-time high and then they'll probably retrace and they'll be like, oh, it's over. Bitcoin's dead. And go read all the old Bitcoin obituaries. Bitcoin never dies. TikTok next block. Every 10 minutes, roughly every 10 minutes, we see a new block. It is literally the heart pulse of Bitcoin. It is because you guys are transacting out there. It's because people find value in Bitcoin. And even here, you know, I brought up mempool.space, one of my favorite sites. You can see, you know, last block came in 17 minutes ago. We still have more and more blocks. TikTok next block. Bitcoin never dies. Bitcoin is here to stay. And if we do this correctly, guys, if we ensure the Bitcoin network by running nodes, we will be here for another 15 years plus. Hopefully, this is a new monetary network for the next 1,000 plus years. And it's really hard to think of anything that will replace Bitcoin at this point. But it is because you guys run the nodes. It's because you guys find value in Bitcoin. It's because you guys continue to stack every single day, every single week, every single month, and save in Bitcoin. This is the way. What's the meme? You need Bitcoin more than Bitcoin needs you. Well, Bitcoin is a network of people out there, and we have all collectively, individually come to the shelling point that Bitcoin is the best money, and we find value in saving our wealth through time and space on a network in a monetary asset that cannot be debased, that is censorship resistant, that is permissionless. So shout out to Satoshi for creating this beautiful, beautiful experiment, this beautiful movement, this beautiful monetary ledger, this Frankenstein monetary ledger that is Bitcoin, that is unstoppable. And here's to another 15 years, guys. Truly, I hate to say it, but we're so early. It's only 15 years in this game. Happy birthday to Bitcoin. You know, without Bitcoin, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing my life's purpose. I wouldn't be here every single day having fun with my boy Nico and all of you guys. So, you know, Bitcoin's changed my life. If you are new to Bitcoin, just trust the process, stack sats, stay humble, stay solvent. And in another cycle, you will also understand exactly what I'm saying. So I'm trying to distill 15 years into 15 minutes. And I just hope you guys get some value out of this. On that note, shouts out to Bitcoin. Happy birthday, Bitcoin, to another 15 years.
Happy birthday, Bitcoin. 15 years old. Wow. What a journey. What a path it has been. And yeah, man, this is just the beginning, guys. This is just the beginning of something wonderful, of something great. So buckle up, fasten your seatbelts, because it's going to be a hell of a ride from here. And the best is yet to come. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution is share this content. Share all Bitcoin content. Don't be exclusive. Be inclusive. For all the meme lovers, we'll be back with the meme review on Friday's episode.
I did have the meme review, but we're a little long.
We are over time. We had a special episode today. But we love you all.
Blame
guys.
Nico. Somehow, some way, this is Nico's fault.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys on the next one. Peace out, everybody.